As part of We the People, celebrating 250 years, here's This Day in History. Proudly sponsored by American Family Insurance.
Well, as we count down to America's 250th birthday this summer, we are sharing our We the People series, the people, places, and things of the past that have shaped our country to what it is today. We're heading to Chicago, Charlie.
Yeah, story about the Cubs. We're on a roll, by the way.
8-game win streak, yeah.
8 in a row. That's got to end soon. On this date, April 23rd, back in 1914, Wrigley Field hosted its first major league game with the Chicago Federals defeating Kansas City 9-1. By the way, Kansas City's team was named the Packers, the Kansas City Packers.
Really?
Yeah. The ballpark was called Weigman Park at the time, after the team's owner, Charles H. Weigman. The cost of building the park was about $250,000, and it had enough seats for about 14,000 people. The ballpark later became known as Cubs Park in 1920 after the Wrigley family purchased the team from Weigman. In 1926, it was renamed Wrigley Field in honor of William Wrigley Jr., the club's owner. It would be a few years before the friendly confines would start to look like it does today. The iconic bleachers and scoreboard were constructed in 1937. The ivy was planted the same year. The lights weren't turned on there until 1988. That's this day in history for April 23rd.
Well, there you have it. Have you been to Wrigley?
I have, several times.
When they're playing the Brewers?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I have. I think I went to a game. I don't know who the Cubs were playing, but I've been there probably half dozen times.
I mean, it's a beautiful stadium. I feel like a lot of people travel from across the country to see it.
Yeah.
Wrigleyville, the bars around it.
Yeah, stay downtown and in Chicago, just hop on the train and cruise north to Wrigley.
Those bleachers get very hot.
A little rowdy, yeah.
All right, Charlie, thank you.